Growing up in New Jersey, the furthest thing from my mind was professional basketball. The high school I went to was a predominantly Jewish high school. And the only reason I went to that high school was because it was dependent on where you lived, and you had to go to that high school, and I just happened to be in that district. My high school coach and I were very, very close, and he used to read the riot act to me, and the riot act was the most important reason that you're in school is to get an education and to graduate. Well, the most important thing for me was that I was able to get a scholarship and play basketball in college. And then when I went to North Carolina A&T, it was a different mindset down there, but something that I really, really enjoyed. My coach was Monty Irvin's brother, Coach Cal Irvin. And if it hadn't been for him, I know I wouldn't be here talking to you today. And then I met a guy you may have heard of, his name was Wilt Chamberlain. His best friend and I were teammates in college, and that's how I got to know Wilt. The great thing that I think that Wilt did that very few people knew about was he did not make you think he was any different or better than anybody else. I never thought about going and trying out for the Warriors, and Vince Miller was Wilt's best friend in Philadelphia. And he talked to me about trying out for Warriors, and I had accepted a job teaching school in Newark, New Jersey, and I told him, no, I didn't want to do that. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go and try it for a week. Well, I was drafted by the Warriors in Philadelphia, and I've been with the Warriors ever since. Well, the pressure that we felt was what was being allowed to play for a team. It was a little different from a player's standpoint because you had to be careful that they didn't put you in a position where you thought you were better than anybody else. Mr. Muley, who was the owner of the Warriors, he convinced me to move on into other areas of basketball. You know, he just came to me one day, we went out to, he said, I want you to go to lunch with me. And I went to lunch with him. And during the course of the meal, he told me he wanted to take over coaching. And I turned it down. I told him no, I didn't think, because I really didn't think, you know, it was something that I wanted to do because I was playing at the time. And what he convinced me of was to take the job just for that remainder of the season, and then I would go back to playing. But I decided once I started into it that I was going to retire from playing and continue to coach. And that's how it worked out. So I was very fortunate. Well, what an athlete does off the field has a longer impact. The difficult thing for that is the player may not understand that because he's looking at what's happening today. I think when you talk about the civil rights today, people who've come along at this point in time have no idea what it was like before. And so, you know, many of them don't know about the history of how it got to this point. It wasn't as good back then as it is now. When you take a stand at something that's not very popular to people, you don't realize what they have to go through on a daily basis. But I think it's very, very important for you to take a stand. And that's why, you know, one of my big heroes was Muhammad Ali. I first met Muhammad Ali when I was in college. And the stand that he took even made him get out of boxing for a while. And that's a tough stand to take because what happens is, you know, it's like, you know, taking money out of your pocket. You're not going to be able to do some things, but it's more important than the money that you put in. It's what you get out of it. When you're at the top of the ladder, like Jim Brown or Muhammad Ali, it's different than the person who's underneath him. And what happened is they were the kind of guys who really, really did whatever they thought was necessary to improve the situation for all those who came behind them. Well, the most important thing that I would get to the young people today is to understand that they have to question themselves into why they're doing what they're doing. Everybody who comes along is not going to be a basketball player, is not going to be an athlete, but there are things that you could do that are just as important as what the athletes and basketball players do. It's not easy to do the things that you want to do that goes against the grain of what people want you to do, but years later they will thank you for it.